Let's see Sneako on Bosnian national TV.
Sada, poštovani gledalci, u Sarajevu je bio i na Fejsu gostovao Sneako. Dečko se zove Nikolas Kende Balintazi, nadimak Niko, zatim internet ime Sneako. On je jedna od najpoznatijih, najpopularnijih internet ličnosti u svijetu, politički komentator, online streamer, kako se takve osobe nazivaju. Stekao je svjetsku popularnost kroz intervjue na ulici, prvo direktne, žučne debate sa mnogo argumenata i onda takvog odmah nazovu kontroverzan, iako su njegovi stavovi sasvim jasni. Ličnost društvenih mreža. Milioni i milioni ljudi širom svijeta prate Sneaka. Gost je u najgledanijim, najpopularnijim TV emisijama, podcastima u svijetu. Počeo je kao gamer, igrač onih igrica na internetu. Zatim radio intervjue na ulicama.
This person has been a news anchor since the war in the Balkans.
Pa onda sa najpoznatijim ljudima u svijetu. Vrlo je oštar, direktan u kritikama modernog društva, toliko provokativan da je zabranjivan na platformama. Osim tog modernog društva kritikuje pornografiju, govori o konceptu alfa mužijaka, tradicionalnih uloga žena i muškaraca u društvu. O kritici politike da vam i ne govorim. I ovo je mjesto gdje vam možemo objasniti klasični koncept, etiku, kodeks novinarstva i ono što je novo, moderno, popularno, online streameri, samostalni, samonikli ili kritičari društva i svega. Razlika je jednostavna. Novinarska sloboda ipak podrazumijeva da govorimo sa argumentima, sa podacima, sa činjenicama, sa gostima, sa programom uživo, sa konfrontacijom, razmjenom argumenata. Dakle, sloboda, ali nije anarhija. Novi momci na internetu ne moraju imati nikakva ograničenja, kodekse, pravila, osim onih koje sami sebi ne odrede i osim onih, a zbog toga je Sniković plaćao cijenu, kada ih zabrane na društvenim platformama. Dakle, direktni su. Tu su na tržištu, pa ako hoće neka ih gleda. Oni su ti koji kreiraju mišljenje novim generacijama. Oni su moćniji od svake škole i sistema. Oni kreiraju stav novih generacija. Njih slijede nove generacije. Oni su alfa.
Sneako, Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak, barem barachula.
Allah razjala. Barem barachula. Sneako.
Barem barachula.
These are some of my colleagues. They actually wanted to meet you before we start the interview.
Nadir.
Yeah. My name is Aydin.
Aiden.
Ali.
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 Great to meet you.
You go by Sneako or
Just Sneako, yeah.
Or Nico?
Just Sneako, yeah.
Sneako.
Well, I love Bosnia so much. It's my 5th or 6th time. Hope to come back this summer.
I know you said that we might do the interview from your hotel room.
Yeah, this is much better.
Because you had a nice view, but I think we have a better view. Did anyone ask you for an interview?
In Bosnia, no.
Never.
Never, no. Maybe like small podcast people, but I can't, nothing that is memorable.
Our people have big hearts, and we have a big show. That's what makes us special. Usually, this entire space is filled with journalists, but today, since we're short on staff, this is our Professor Asya. She taught us all how to speak like journalists.
Oh, okay.
Correct pronunciation and everything. Whenever we film this interview, this is where I'm gonna put the subtitles and everything.
Okay, so you're going to edit this interview?
Probably.
Yeah, most likely.
If I look bad in anything, please cut it out. Inshallah.
It's okay.
These guys are gonna post everything on social media, put on the captions. So if you don't like the caption, this is like who you should blame.
Okay. They got the Tucker Carlson interview in here.
My leader.
You guys are doing some good stuff here. This is what you should be editing.
Yeah.
Let me get a job here. I would love to work here. This is what I do all day.
Next time when you come here.
Well, no, if I move here, I want a job here. I want this office right here.
Bosnian dynasty of our kings and queens throughout history. From the 9th century up until the 1463. And that's when the Ottomans came. Angelina Jolie. That was 2012. She did a movie about Srebrenica.
Oh, she did?
You know that movie?
No.
In the Land of Blood and Honey.
Is it good?
Yeah, FIFA World Cup.
Wait, so this is in Sarajevo?
Yeah, this is Titova Street, the main street in Sarajevo. This is Edin Dzeko. You know Edin Dzeko?
Yeah, Edin Dzeko, yes.
Yeah,
He played for Chelsea and Bayern Munich.
Yeah, one of our best
Strikers.
football players.
My name is Sneako. My
Sneako.
nickname is Senko.
Sanko?
Senko is like
Oh.
shadow.
Okay, so
I am the founder, owner, and a hard worker here. You know?
it's a great operation here. And if I ever live in Sarajevo,
Yeah.
I would love a job here and an office here.
Here, not like Empire State Building view, but it's a nice view.
It's better than... Sarajevo is one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
One present
Yeah.
to you. This is my book about the war on English. This is compilation of break news situation in my show during the war. To Sneako from Senko.
Why do they call you Senko?
Nickname. But listen,
Homemade.
this is not store bought.
Kako se piše? Da mi speli.
This one.
That one,
Yeah.
better. Listen, this book, which is sold right now as well, the money from this book goes to the children of Srebrenica,
Oh, okay.
the children whose parents
Yeah.
were martyred during the genocide.
SubhanAllah.
But I think this book, if you want to learn more about Bosnia, it's important because it goes chronologically, like day by day. You see, you have the English translation on this side. This is the Bosnian transcript on this side. And basically, the entire war, like, you know, the war in Gaza and now the war in Iran, how it's being live streamed, put on social media and everything. This is basically the same thing, but it was on live television. Because everything during the war in Bosnia happened while he was in...
You know, this is super important because what the Zionists are saying now is that they would need the history books to write that the people of Gaza deserved it. So they try to rewrite history. They want to, the victor is always the one writing history. That's why it's important to document it from this perspective because they, of course, they want to alter it.
The first president of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, once we announced independence from Yugoslavia. On the 2nd of May, he was kidnapped. And this is like something that hasn't happened anywhere in the world. Our president was kidnapped, and my father, he was in direct communication with the Serbian general who took him, and the American embassy as well. And
he saved his life of Alia.
Wow.
of our president.
Can you do me a favor? Can you show your dad, when you get the chance, my letter from Bosnia, my documentary? I think he'll be able to understand.
Well, your opinion of Bosnia, sorry.
I love it. I love it here. Maybe I'll move here one day. I want to...
Here.
Work on Face TV, he said.
Welcome.
We shake hands.
Apartment here.
You have money, you have everything.
Sarajevo, Bosnia has so much charm, and people don't know about it. It's a small place, but it's a hidden gem. Can you translate? How do you say hidden gem?
Sakriveni dragulj.
And we have 4 girls for you.
MashaAllah.
And Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. One Serb, one Croatian.
Yes, you're bravo.
Let's go. One Bosnian.
Bye.
Assalamu alaikum. Biden Barachula.
Razio.
And until next time.
Of course. Biden Barachula, everybody.
Razila.
Ako nema na čemu, čujemo se, vidimo se.
Sretno, čuvajte se.
Hvala također, sve najbolje, vidimo.
Vidimo se, čao.
Sad intervju sa Sneakom. Sneako je mladi čovjek, direktno uživo u programu, u streamu se razvija, mijenja, dograđuje, sazrijeva. Zbog toga ga mladi ljudi i gledaju. U njemu traže sebe, svoj identitet ili dograđuju i oni se mijenjaju. Jedna od promjena je i vjera. Od prije 3 godine je u islamu. Zbog toga je bio u Sarajevu ovdje za Bajram. Zanimljivo, bio je gost nedavno u svim najekskluzivnijim programima, ali ovaj poseban u programu Piers Morgan necenzurisano. Jednom od najgledanijih programa u svijetu. Piers Morgan ga je opet zvao, insistirao da dođe u program, no Sneako ga je odbio i došao u naš program, na našu televiziju. Uhvatite se čvrsto za neki držač, podjećemo. Ovo najavljuje Senko, nastupa Sneako, a sa Sneakom priča Sinko.
Among the world of celebrities, YouTube, kick streamers, and political commentators, Sneako is one of the most popular and viewed ones. Among Muslim streamers and celebrities, Sneako is most certainly the most popular one. Millions watch his streams as he travels around the globe. Other than streaming from all around the world, Sneako has done interviews and streams with, most recently, world-famous Professor Young, Piers Morgan, the ex-mayor of New York, Eric Adams, worldwide celebrities such as Dan Bilzerian, one of the world's biggest music stars, Kanye West, and many more. Just yesterday, he was in Medina during the last night of Ramadan. And today, he chose to spend one of the two biggest Muslim holidays, Eid al-Fitr, in Sarajevo. Nico, first of all, Eid Mubarak. And why did you come to Sarajevo for Eid? Why did you choose to come to Bosnia and Herzegovina for this holiday, one of the two most holiest holidays in Islam?
Baden Barachula, thank you for having me.
Allah
I love Bosnia so much. I've come here 6 or 7 times already, and I hope to come back again. It's only less than 24 hours, but this is one of my favorite places to visit. When I first came in 2024, I made the documentary Letter from Bosnia. It's on my main YouTube channel. Highly recommend the Bosniaks watch that. I came back 3 more times that month. I think it just kept on coming back. I went to Albania, Croatia. I kept traveling, and Bosnia just kept on calling me. I've never been to one place that many times that I have no connections here. I have no family here. I don't know anybody here. Well, now I do. I have a lot of friends, but I think I see eye to eye with the Bosnian people.
Yeah, but you also give us a sort of a promotion, you know, you promote Bosnia to people. I don't know if you actually also talked about Aisho Speed, that he should also come to Bosnia once again, that he should give it another opportunity.
Yeah, I was just showing Amir a tweet in the car. They were comparing, saying that Serbia, they pay influencers exorbitant amounts of money to spread propaganda and promote the country, similar to the way that the UAE, the GCC countries, they have influencers that want to prop them up. And they said, compared to me, Sneako, I just do it because I'm not getting paid. I just love Bosnia. And it's because I love the place. And it's a hidden gem. People don't know about it. It's a population 4 million people. Sarajevo is 200,000. And sometimes I hope I don't promote it too much because I don't want people to ruin it. You know, when you get too many tourists or too many people, then it can lose its charm. But this place has so much charm. And maybe I'd live here one day. It's one of the places that I think I might live.
I was thinking like maybe there's a Bosnian girl here who you met and that's what keeps you coming here.
That's what Amir says. I don't know if I would say this in this interview, but yeah. There was, inshallah.
There was one?
Inshallah.
Inshallah. So that means probably you will keep coming back here.
Well, it's a little far away in Mostar, not Sarajevo, so it's a little too far of a drive.
That's for the next interview. We're going to go to Mostar. But I hope you had a nice Eid here. And I read on your Twitter or X social media that this morning you said that there are all white people in the mosque where you prayed the Eid al-Fitr prayer, except for you. Of course, you know that Muslims are of all races, but is this something you said because the people of the West, it may be shocking to them to see a country which has a Muslim population, which is the vast majority of it is white, actually?
Yeah, because they run with this rhetoric, you know, especially the movement speaking about Zionism in America has grown a lot. And so the response to that, a lot more people are becoming Christian, and Gen Z they're not drinking as much, they're going to church again, but also Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. And I think what holds back so many people is their idea that they say stupid things like it's a sand religion. Okay, well, where was Jesus from? You know, they say that Islam is a brown religion. It's from the same region, it's from the same place. And this idea, especially with all the terrorist propaganda for the past several decades, all funded by the CIA and Mossad, which is now
honestly, it's only in dumb people who say that.
Been proven. They try to make it seem, you know, people holding up an AK-47, doing all this, making it seem like it's a violent, extreme desert religion, but it's not, you know, and people are closed off to this stuff. So I love coming here, one, because people are peaceful, they get along well, and I relate to them, but also it beats that propaganda, because a lot of people in America genuinely believe, they'll say things like Christianity is a white religion. Even though Isa, alayhi wasalam, he was a Jew, you know, he was a teacher, he was a rabbi, and he's from Galilee, which is now modern-day Palestine. There's nothing white about this guy at all. So they say that this is a white religion and that this is whiteness and you're a race traitor if you convert. But you know, the Bosnian people, they converted once the message of Islam was spread, and they happily live with it now. And again, you could, in the Balkan region, I've heard the propaganda, they'll say like, oh, the Turks, they forced converted, but that's not true. The Bosnians were able to understand the truth, and they had purity in their hearts, and so that they accepted. But to this day, 500 years later, you'll still hear the same lies and say that, oh, it was forced on you, it was forced on you. No, the Bosnian people found the truth of Tawheed, La ilaha illallah. There's only one worthy of worship, the oneness of God. And so I really want to beat that propaganda down. One of the main reasons, I like Bosnia is like where I find a lot of peace. Last point. Is where I find a lot of peace. But I like to live in America, one, because of where I'm from, this is where the people I grew up around and everything. But that's where all the propaganda starts. So if I can be in the midst of all this propaganda and fight back, I think it's an act of jihad in a good way. And this is people who have a misconception about that word, but that just means something good, doing something that's right.
Now, one of the things that I also saw on your stream is you talking about church bells ringing from one side of the street, and from the other side of the street you have a mosque, you hear the adhan. I mean, in Bosnia there are people who, they're Orthodox, people of Orthodox Christianity, Catholics and Muslims.
And Jews. There's the synagogues in Old Town Sarajevo as well.
And synagogues as well. We have a nickname for Sarajevo, actually. It's like the Jerusalem of Europe. Do you think that's also shocking to people from the West to see that in one city, especially in Europe?
I think so. But I mean, that nickname doesn't really apply. Right now in Jerusalem, they shut down Al-Aqsa Mosque for the first time since 1967, since the Arab War that Israel fought against and it displaced so many people. Al-Aqsa Mosque they weren't even allowed to pray Eid prayer in Al-Aqsa. And I saw people running away from the masjid. So like there was in a time in Jerusalem unity and peace with different Abrahamic religions, the way that you see in Sarajevo right now, but that you don't see that anymore. And I think that is shocking to people, especially Bosnia is similar to Lebanon in a way. I love Lebanon as well. Again, they're getting bombed right now. But Lebanon is the same way. They have synagogues, they have Catholics, they have Orthodox, they have Shias, they have Druze, all next to each other. And Americans think that the Middle East is all either all Muslim or it's all Sharia law and it's all only this. It's no, people coexist. It's only this, even though in America we have the idea of freedom of religion, they get upset when we pray Tawhid prayer in Times Square. They say, oh, this is a Christian country, you can't pray here. Well, no, we have freedom of religion. We're allowed to do this. In the same way, Bosnia is a majority Muslim country. You can hear the church bells ring, and nobody's complaining because we understand that at least people have some faith.
Yeah, since we're talking about the real Jerusalem, and as you said, for the first time after 1967, I think Muslims were not allowed to pray in the Al-Aqsa Mosque. But we also know that missiles and bombs are dropping over the Middle East. What do you think of the entire situation in the Middle East right now?
Well, is this going on TV? How honest can I be about this?
As honest as you want.
Well, I think the reason that they're not letting Muslims pray is because they planted bombs there. This war is about destroying Al-Aqsa Mosque so that they can build the third temple and then they can bring their own Messiah. Their Messiah is the Antichrist, or in Islam we say Dajjal. Right? This is clear from Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War in America. He has the Kafir tattoo, which is going to be displayed on the forehead of the Antichrist. Only the believers will be able to see this. They wrote that same Kafir tattoo on the tanks when they went to war in Syria. So this is really about the end of the world. It's not about, they're saying that they want to go free gay people. That Trump just said this in an interview with Jake Paul, that Iran, the gay people, they throw them off the roofs, and we have gay people in America. It's like, wait, this is the conservative right now bragging about, but that's how ridiculous it is. And they're saying, we're going to free the women, and then they just bomb them and nuke, and now they're flirting with the idea of nukes. How are the people free? They bombed the desalination plants, so people can't even get fresh drinking water. And then you still see these people in Iran, in America, or the Iranian people in America, cheering, going, thank you, Bibi, thank you, Trump. Like they're bombing your capital. They want to nuke your entire country, but they're so brainwashed. So they're lying and saying that this war is because Iran posed a threat. We just saw from Joe Kent. He was the former counter-terrorist.
Yeah, head of the
Yes, head of counterterrorism. He resigned because he said there wasn't any imminent threat from Iran. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, said this, and he's still in the Trump administration. Iran posed no threat. Netanyahu, who I still think is probably dead, I think it's AI, but he's saying that Iran did not even have the capabilities to build nukes, that they don't have the right uranium. And so they run with this narrative, oh, they can't have nukes, they can't have nukes, they can't have nukes. Israel has nukes, right? They have the Samson option, which is the ability to nuke the world if it gets too anti-Semitic. The last president to want to investigate Israel's nuclear program was JFK, John F. Kennedy. What happened to him? Once he filed the paperwork to go investigate Israel's nuclear program, Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, who started in 1948, he resigns. Okay, the paperwork is never filed. Then they bring in a new prime minister of Israel. Then JFK is assassinated. Since then, nobody's investigated, and you can see all of the American politicians. They're all bought out by the same people. It's something like 90% of our senators are getting paid by AIPAC. That's the Israel lobby that, they brag that 98% of their politicians win every election. So this war is really about the end of times, which Muslims know. That's something that we have an acceptance. We know that this is going to happen. We know about Dajjal. We know about their false messiah, and we understand. But Americans are so brainwashed, especially the evangelical Christians. Not all the Catholic and Orthodox, but evangelical Christians like Ted Cruz and Pete Hegseth. They're saying, in the Bible, it says God must bless those who bless the state of Israel. You realize how stupid that is? Why would God want to bless a state that was founded by the Rothschilds in 1948? It doesn't make any sense. But they've been bought out, they've been compromised, and we see more of these Epstein files. Whenever Trump says something, like 2 days ago, he's saying he didn't approve that Israel bombed an oil field in Qatar that Qatar and Iran control. He said, we don't agree with this. Okay, you know what happens? More Epstein files released, and now, I don't want to be too explicit on your show, but Trump is probably doing the things that allegedly he's accused of. Epstein in the files himself, this is not allegedly, Epstein said that Trump was one of the most evil men he's ever met. Epstein met everybody. So what separates Trump? Why is he the most evil? You look back and there's videos, I'm sure everyone here has seen this, where he's talking about his daughter on a show like this on The View, and he says, Ivanka, perhaps I'd be dating her if she weren't my daughter. Can you imagine speaking about your daughter like that? It's crazy how we memory hold this, but again, this is all allegedly in my opinion, but he almost word for word did say that.
Well, throughout all the time you were speaking, I just kept coming back to one thing. I want to repeat it. I don't know if I heard you correctly. You said that you think that there are bombs placed in the Al-Aqsa Mosque right now?
Yeah. That's why they're not able to pray there. And what they're going to do, and you mentioned it, is that, there's all these bombs flying in the Middle East and stuff. There were 2 Mossad agents that were arrested for trying to plant bombs, I think in Saudi Arabia.
UAE.
In the UAE. And they're trying to blame Iran, right? They want to make it seem, they want to create divides between the Sunni and Shia. Right now, what's so important is we have one ummah. We're all Muslim. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not say I'm Sunni. He did not say I'm Shia. He didn't say I'm Hanafi. He didn't say none of this. He just said I'm Muslim. So that's the way I see it right now. People of Iran, but as long as you say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, we're all Muslim. I don't think we should keep on trying to divide ourselves. So what they're going to do, and this is why I think it's closed, I think Mossad's planted bombs right there. Maybe you can't say this on your show, but 9/11, for example, I think most of the Muslim world understands what's going on there. And originally on the scene of 9/11, the firefighters and the policemen said it looked like a controlled demolition where there were bombs planted at the bottom of the building.
In the Epstein files, I think there were some things mentioned about 9/11 and how it was planted. Did you see any of that?
Yes, and Ghislaine Maxwell, she was offered a position to be on the 9/11 Commission. Even then, a month after 9/11, Ghislaine Maxwell, this is Epstein's girlfriend, the pimp of the operation, she's bragging and saying, fantasizing about the genocide of all Arab people because of 9/11. Howard Lutnick, the current Secretary of Commerce under Trump's administration, can you believe this? So 600 people died in his firm in 9/11. There's 3,000. So about 1/4 of the people that died on 9/11 were part of Howard Lutnick's financial firm. Now he's the Secretary of Commerce under Trump. Do you know what building he lived in? He lived in building 9. Epstein lived in building 11. And this is on West 81st Street, or East 81st Street in Manhattan. I live in Manhattan, right there. Building 9, building 11. Next door neighbors. And this is the guy Howard Lutnick said, I wasn't friends with Epstein. Then he was questioned. They found out that years after Epstein was convicted of sex crimes, Howard Lutnick went to the Epstein Island with all of his kids and his nannies. And he said, I just went there to have lunch. Who takes a plane and a boat with all of your children to an island just to have lunch with somebody who's not your friend? So now we understand this is how, okay, look, I'm not going to be too conspiratorial, but 9/11.
I was just about to say this is the prime time for conspiracy theorists because all of the theories are coming out to be true right now.
Yeah, I mean, you were mentioning the Netflix documentary that I was on, the Manosphere documentary. And it was funny, 1 year ago that was filmed. And in that documentary, I talk about how I'm not in the Manosphere. 3 years ago, I debated the Grand Wizard of the Manosphere, whatever, and he said that high-value men need to get vasectomies. I said, this is stupid. I want to have children. What, high-value men to what? People on Instagram? This is dumb. As I've not been a part of this, but people associate me with that because I've been critical of feminism. But the major gotcha they had in that documentary was saying, well, I was explaining to him the hadith where it says, in the end of times, women will dress as if they're clothed but be fully naked. And if you look at the advertisements all over America, or even the clothes they're wearing, you see these female rappers and they're wearing see-through clothes. And this is to spread corruption in the land. It's to make people's brains filled up with, programmed and, like, for example, Israel in 2002, not to yap too much, but Israel 2002, when they hijacked Palestinian TV stations, they broadcasted porn. They didn't show propaganda, they didn't show missiles. They know that this is the way to corrupt people. And on that documentary, I'm explaining to Louis Theroux, he asked me, who controls the world? I said, there's a Satanist cabal controlling the world. He's like, oh, that's an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Well, I just said it was a satanic cabal. You said it was anti-Semitic. That really shows that you're the anti-Semitic one. And I was pointing at the magazines and saying that they all cover their one eye because the Dajjal, the Antichrist, will be a one-eyed figure. So last year, that was seen as a crazy conspiracy theory, right? Now we see the Epstein files. Now we know what's happening. The documentary releases. I don't seem so crazy anymore.
Now, coming back to the Middle East, I just want to make sure, because you're very open about that, you think this is the end of times, that the third temple is being rebuilt, the coming of the Antichrist, all of those things are true and coming to life right now?
I'm not saying it's the end of the world right now, but that's exactly what they're trying to do. There's this Chabad Lubavitch sect in New York City they mainly operate, and that's where Trump visited this grave of Rabbi Schneerson, who claimed to be the Messiah. You can see these same rabbis, part of the Chabad Lubavitch sect. Not only does their synagogue connect into the tunnels in New York City. Remember that? Remember, yeah. Why did the mainstream news never cover this? They were popping out of the tunnels like Mario, like, it's me, Judio, and they pop out. And these tunnels connected into the synagogue, and this is where world leaders go. And they found bloody mattresses, and there was no investigation. This Chabad Lubavitch sect, you could see a video of Benjamin Netanyahu in the 80s when he was first an up-and-coming politician speaking with those rabbis. And in Hebrew, they're begging him. They're going, we really need the coming of the Messiah. They really want to accelerate because they so badly want to see their own Messiah. And for that to happen, people need to look into this stuff. It's not conspiracy. What needs to happen for them in order to bring their own Messiah, the Antichrist, the fall? They need corruption in the land. They need Christians and Muslims to be fighting against each other. They need all the Jews to come back to greater Israel. They need to expand from the Euphrates to the Nile. This is all part of their eschatology. So this sect, although I'm not saying that it is the end of the world right now, that's exactly what they're trying to do.
You also spoke with Professor Yang. He's very famous for his predictive history channel, where he actually predicts what's going to happen with high accuracy. What did he say about the Middle East? What are your key takeaways from the interview with him?
That,
from his perspective.
Well, Americans, and you guys will laugh at us because you guys know, you always, have you seen them say, like, Israel's our greatest ally? Look, you laugh because of how stupid it is. The great takeaway from him is that, one, Israel wins if America loses. They want control in the Middle East. They just want to have complete control. They want to connect underground tunnels, ironic, so that they have connection. They have access to all the oil in the Arab region. They want to expand. They look at what they're demolishing Lebanon right now, kicking civilians out. They're saying you can't return to Lebanon. The buildings are collapsing just like 9/11. So it's the idea that so I was of the belief that Israel needed America in order to fight their wars and fight for them. It's not really that case. Israel's a lot stronger than we realize, and also they have nukes. Iran doesn't have nukes. Potentially Pakistan does. Iran doesn't. Israel has the ability to destroy the world, and they don't really need America as much as we might believe from the greatest ally theory. I think that's the biggest takeaway.
Why was then the U.S. dragged in?
I think it's a combination of blackmail from the Epstein. I think it's brainwashing from the Schofield Bible, evangelical Christianity, separate from Catholic and Orthodox. And I think it's also money. I think they're getting paid a lot of money by AIPAC.
Do you think it has anything to do with what Joe Kent said on the show with Tucker Carlson about Trump getting life threats by, he didn't say specifically
He said they
Mossad.
planted spyware on his car. I think, no, I don't really think it's life. I don't think that scares him that much. I don't think he cares about dying as much as he cares about his reputation. I think he wants to live forever. These people want to be gods on earth. They want to be worshipped. Have you seen the images of them all putting their hands on Trump, praying on him like a golden statue? I think what is motivating him is that if he doesn't do this war, that they'll release the information they have in the Epstein files. And let's think about, why haven't they released all the files? They have them. It's on a hard drive. But they just keep dropping it like trailers of a movie, because every time he doesn't abide, oh yeah, here's this, you did this, you did this. 13-year-old girl, oh, she bit this, she bit that. And then he cooperates. So I think it's legacy.
Mm-hmm. Since you mentioned immortality, do you think Benjamin Netanyahu is dead? I saw your status on X.
I really do think he's dead. I think that, and look, I can't prove it. This is that's probably the most conspiracy thing I'm going to say. But there's so much of the footage they're putting out. There's clearly AI. And they're going to be able to get away with it because it's a war and he's not going to have to interact with people. It's all going to be highly curated footage by Mossad. So, and one of the greater pieces of evidence is that in Judaism, his son, Yair Netanyahu, he's really active on Twitter, but they're supposed to take a mourning period of 7 days. When someone close to them dies, he didn't tweet for 7 days, and then he's tweeting again. So, I mean, look, the AI is good enough. They don't want to demoralize the people right now. But I don't, it would have been pretty interesting to see that happen on Eid. I think that would have been, but to act like there's not going to be an even more crazy Chabad Lubavitch cultist in charge of Israel after is disingenuous. Netanyahu being dead does not mean that Israel is not going to continue doing what they're doing.
What does the U.S. public think about this war? What does it think about the current U.S. administration? What does it think about Israel? Because I had a guest here last week, Alex Vatanka from the U.S. He's a specialist for Iran's internal affairs, and he said that only 20% of Americans support this ongoing war.
I mean, there's so much propaganda. I think the vast majority don't care because the war never happens on our soil. We've grown up. I grew up during the Iraq War. It always just happens on TV. It's not real to us. It's real for the people in Iran. They actually are seeing. It's real for the people in Lebanon. In America, life just goes on, so people don't really care. It's just it's like a movie to them. A lot of people are brainwashed and still follow Trump. They don't know any better. A lot of people just think Muslims equals terrorists. They don't know any better. But I do think that this has got to be one of the most unpopular wars in American history. I think it's the first time, because I think Vietnam War, in the beginning, although it was unpopular, maybe the majority, or at least over 50% were supporting. And then eventually people saw what was happening and switched up and they protested in the college campuses. I think this war is the first war in American history where a majority of the population wants us to lose.
Yeah, I mean, Trump scored many of his political points talking about the war in Iraq, and I think he said that it's one of the biggest mistakes that the U.S. has actually made, and now he has gone into a war in the Middle East. Do you think that he has disappointed Americans?
Absolutely. I mean, I voted for him in 2016. He was against the major lobbies. He said, I'm going to put America first, and I'm not going to be a globalist. I'm going to stay out of the Middle East. I don't want to waste money on these conflicts. He just completely switched up. And even at the 2024 campaign, he said, no new wars, no more new wars. Yeah, he completely betrayed the American people. He's a pathetic waste. He should be impeached. And I hope his legacy is completely tarnished. The guy's a pathetic failure, and he's old. Look, he's 80 years old. And Gen Z right now, the average person in Gen Z, our debt is $94,000 in America. In the 60s, the boomers, people like Trump, Biden, by the time that they were 30, the majority of boomers, they could own a home and have children. It was something like 60% of people aged 30 years old were homeowners and had children and had a good job. Now, in Gen Z, it's 10%. 10% of our generation can have, it's like now a pipe dream to own a house and be married and have kids now.
You think that's a problem for this administration? I mean, for the world generally
It's a
as well.
problem for the world, but it's just like these people just need to die already. Like you're 80 years old. For most positions, if you were an 80-year-old news anchor, you'd probably be like, okay, look, time for you need to, yeah, no, it's time for Ali to step in. You know, we needed like some youth. For some reason in politics, that's the one position where 80-year-old senile, clearly people mentally declining have nuclear codes. 80-year-olds that are driving, you're like, okay, grandpa, maybe you shouldn't drive anymore. But in Washington, D.C., we hand these same people nukes. Time for the only way this is going to change is when they die off.
You were brutally honest about Trump right now. And I wanted to ask you, what sort of consequences do you suffer because of being so honest and open?
Look, they try to threaten me. I saw some people in America, they knew that I was going to Saudi Arabia. They tried to get me stopped at the airport. All of a sudden, nothing happened, you know. And in America, most of the things, so they can't prosecute me. The problem is now, saying what I'm saying, I have more evil eye on me than I've ever had. I was just speaking about that with Amir. He said, now, you've been to Bosnia many times, you seem a lot more serious. The attacks that I'm getting from all sides, it's more than I've ever seen. You know, before then, people would make jokes. Now they actually want me dead. You know, they want to ruin my life and destroy it from the inside out. I'm not going to speak about all these people right now, but they are, you know, they do want me out of the picture.
Are you scared?
No, I only fear Allah. And if I go out doing the right thing, then I get Jannah, which is the most important. I have no fear in my heart. I fear no man. And I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to be afraid of. What are they going to do? And look, the message stays on. If I die, someone else will say it. And hopefully I can inspire somebody properly. But yeah, that's all that they could do is just try to ruin my life or scare me. But
how has it impacted your work? Because your work is on the internet, social media, streaming. You talked openly about this conflict. You talked openly about the war in Gaza. Have your interactions dropped? You know, likes, comments, sharing. Can people mention you and not be canceled? You know.
No, I think now the people that were called anti-Semitic or conspiracy theorists, now it's like, oh yeah, you were right. So that's why maybe a year or two ago I wouldn't be allowed on the show. But I think so many of these people owe me an apology for, you know, I was critical of Israel. I debated this guy, Moist Critical, 2 years ago. He said I was a crazy conspiracy theorist, and now he's saying the same stuff I said to him 2 years ago. And I was canceled at the time. I didn't have YouTube. Now I have my YouTube back. YouTube apologized to me in October of last year. I'm back on social media. TikTok was just purchased by Larry Ellison, a Zionist. So, I mean, TikTok I won't have. Meta is owned by another Zionist. I probably won't get Instagram back. But, mashallah, I have X and I have YouTube. That's all I really need. And, yeah, I mean, it hasn't really affected my life. Look, now the only people that are really worth listening to are people that are called or that are canceled, because all the talking points that you were canceled for the last several years have now become true. They were calling you crazy in a conspiracy theorist for saying that Epstein worked on an island and that he had information that implicated the global elite and that he worked for Israel. You were called crazy for that. Now it's true. And so, and we just move on. I was banned on YouTube for criticizing the COVID vaccine. They have images where it shows Netanyahu has a framed syringe in his office from the COVID vaccine. It's like, so look, you're only a conspiracy theorist until 6 months goes by. That Netflix documentary is a perfect example. He thought he had a gotcha because I said the Rothschilds control the world. Yeah, they control the central bank system. Mm-hmm. And Jeffrey Epstein in the files, a year after we filmed that documentary, Epstein says, I represent the Rothschilds. Okay, so clearly me saying a satanic cabal controls the world is not so crazy anymore. So yeah, I mean, it hasn't affected my career. In fact, I've grown so much. You started off by saying how I stream on Kick. I was streaming on a different website before, a small website that people didn't know. I started this year, 2026 on Kick, and I've already become the biggest political commentator on that website. You know, and it's only been 2 months of consistency. Also, I stream on YouTube as well. I cross-stream. So this is the beginning of something great, and I just want to keep on pushing forward. And I really, if you guys want to issue an apology for calling me anti-Semitic, I will gladly accept them.
You mentioned the Manosphere documentary. I'm just going to quote it. It's like, what's the Manosphere exactly? It's like a community of harmful beliefs about women that thrives on misogyny and patriarchy. And you were a part of that show. I mean, you talked about the other things, the Antichrist and everything, but what about this part of misogyny? Do you consider yourself a misogynist, part of that community? What's your attitude towards women?
No, since I reverted to Islam in 2023, we understand that it's so super important for us to protect women and cherish women and love women. It's not something that, that we're supposed to disrespect or belittle. All that misogyny stuff that's harmful and it's wrong. I was critical about feminism because feminism endangers women. It doesn't protect them. It's the illusion that they have all this freedom, but really they're just being slaves to their own desire. Opening up an OnlyFans is not freedom. You're a slave to the way you look. And OnlyFans, they give money to Israel too. Like they fund AIPAC. And so Islam actually protects and cherishes women and loves women. So I tweeted the other day how the manosphere, it's funny that, it is the idea, not all of them, but essentially can be described as like hating women. Women deserve less, women are not, they're not equal, they're beneath us. But the manosphere also relies on women. Debate panels with 10 OnlyFans girls, pimping and human trafficking and making women become your cam girls, debating them and, talking about them constantly and using them as trophies to show how you're a high value man. Look at all my girlfriends, I'm so cool. It's simultaneously the hatred of women, but also relying upon them completely. You can't belittle them if your entire operation crumbles if you can't pimp them anymore on OnlyFans.
I mean, you were not canceled on social media just like 2 months ago. You were canceled a long time ago. And I wanted to ask you, is that because you converted to Islam? Does it have anything to do with that? Sorry, reverted, not converted.
Reverted, right.
To
That's a
Islam.
major part of it. My support of Palestine, I think, got me. That was the reason I was banned on Instagram. They say I'm part of a dangerous organization. Basically, I'm on the terrorist watch list for Meta. And YouTube, though, that was banned for, I think it was for criticizing Israel, but they said it was because of COVID misinformation. And then TikTok was this and that. I was banned on, it's a lot of different reasons, but the main pressure that I get now is because I'm Muslim in America. And they say, it's a Christian country, it's a Christian country. And I love Christians, all respect to them, but there's hardly anything Christian about America anymore. And they don't get mad at me for pointing it out. Get mad at the people that have pushed Christianity away from the country. What's Christian about it? What, the Christmas tree? This is like pagan ritual stuff. No disrespect, I think Christmas is good to spend time with your family, but Jesus didn't have a Christmas tree. Also, Jesus' birthday is not even in the Bible. Then Easter's coming up. Happy Easter to everybody. Well, I grew up Catholic. You like run around the backyard looking for little eggs that a bunny poops out with chocolate in it. What does this have to do with Jesus? Chocolate bunny poop in the backyard and you're looking around like crawling around. This is what's going on here. And the biggest Christmas celebration in New York City is SantaCon, where they spend a week getting drunk. St. Patrick's Day, is that another Christian holiday? The same, right? What do they do on St. Patrick's Day?
Get drunk.
Get drunk. And then you're going to get mad at me because I point this out. Look, I want people, the same thing that Bosnians believe, if people are close to their faith, if they're practicing, they hear the church bell, they go to church, that will make for a better society. And I want that. But when I point it out, they get mad, oh, Muslim. No, this is not me trying to take over, but I'm trying to encourage. And people just get upset because Islam's the truth and they cope.
What's your experience like of being Muslim in America?
It's hard, it's there's less masjids open. For example, the other night on stream, I wanted to pray tahajjud, and there was no masjid in the entire Manhattan. I went to 3 different masjids, all closed, chain door. I had to go to New Jersey, I had to go to a different state. And then even then, I went to New Jersey, and then this, one of these haters he was encouraging this guy to come and stalk me at the mosque. And I found out later on stream that someone that, has beef or whatever sent, it's difficult because it's the most oppressed ideology. And I would say this to people too, right? And many Americans are realizing that Zionism is the biggest evil. You can agree, right? Mm-hmm. Zionism is the most evil ideology. What is the biggest enemy of the Zionist?
Islam.
There you go. So if the most evil hates Islam the most, that makes it the most good, therefore the most true. Everything is inverted. This is their idea. Everything is the opposite of what it is. So if we can all agree Zionism is the most evil, and they bomb and they hate and they demonize, they spread propaganda on Muslims the most, then it must be the truth.
What about your internal journey, you experiencing life as a Muslim since you reverted? I mean, you've done many things. You talked about quitting alcohol. How did that go? You had a completely different life before that.
That one that took me a couple months. But we even know that at the time of the companions, he did not reveal, the Quran was not revealed all it was revealed over a lot of years.
Yeah, it was
And
gradually revealed.
Gambling and alcohol, this wasn't expected immediately because the people's lifestyles were so ingrained with this that to give it up overnight was impossible. It took me several months, but I've quit, and alhamdulillah, it's now easy. And this Ramadan, this was a special Ramadan. Was it good for you?
Of course.
This was the best one. And
Easy mode on.
It was easy?
because the time has not changed because it was winter time. We're calculating.
Right. When it's in the summer, it's much harder.
Yeah.
I haven't had to do a Ramadan in the
During
summer
summer,
yet.
it's like up to 8, 9 p.m. in the evening.
Man. But yeah, this one was super, and I learned more surahs. I just memorized, in the sauna earlier before this, I finally memorized a surah Nas.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Ikhlas memorized now, so I got 3 in the vault. And I'm going to get an Arabic teacher when I go back to the States, and so I could read Quran in Arabic.
Nice. May Allah reward you.
Inshallah. I mean,
What about, you also talked about quitting, turning down actually.
$20 million gambling deal.
$20 million
Yeah, it was
gambling
offered, if it was 15 to 20, and I make a lot less than that. I don't make that much money, but I mean, how much money do you really need? I mean, why sell out your principles for money? You can't buy it back. Like once you sell your soul, you can't buy it back. You sell it one time and it's gone. Look, I mean, it'd be nice to have that much more money, but I don't think my life would change that much. I'd still travel the same way. I'd still live in the same places that I live. And I would not be happy with myself because I knew that I was spreading corruption, Even then, in the end times, it says that alcohol is going to be extremely normal, that music will be playing everywhere, that everybody's going to be gambling. Gambling has completely changed the American world in like 5 years. It's incredible. I know it's not that common here, but the sports betting, the online gambling, the prize picks, like people can't even watch a game of football without on their phone betting on this and doing a parlay. It's taken over the Goyim. They love it. And
it's not just America, it's also the case
it's here too?
Yeah. Comparing like companies in terms of like groups, let's say gambling companies make the most money here in Bosnia. One of the companies which makes the most money.
Astaghfirullah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad I rejected that in something that and it's funny too, maybe you've seen it, but guys like, there's Clavicular, the Lux Maxer, he's a friend of mine, and Neon, he's Muslim, I hope, and he's also a friend of mine. They're saying, oh yeah, Sneako would take the gambling deal, he'd take the gambling deal. If he was offered 100, he would take it. Wallahi, bro, if they offered me, they already offered 15 to 20 mil, I mean, if they offer me, there's no amount of money that they could offer me for me to take it. If they offered me $100 billion, wallahi, I wouldn't take it. It's just the principle of it. That makes me happier. Like me being able to say this, I'm sure you can see it now, that righteousness, and this should be like a standard. People should not do something like this, but the fact that I can say that with pride is more valuable than any money they can give me.
Yeah, I think these principles, I mean, of course, they brought you closer to God, but you've also earned a lot of respect, I think, within the Muslim community. And I saw you spoke with a lot of Islamic scholars as well. Is there something that you have learned from them, from the experience of being with them? Because you had sat down with the biggest Islamic scholars, as far as I've seen.
Yeah, they're great friends of mine. Muslim Lantern, I just saw him in Turkey. Sheikh Uthman, Muhammad Ajab, Ali Dawa, Daniel Hakikachu, people like Tom Khan, all these, Abu Taymiyyah. And it goes on, I'm sorry if I forgot. But yeah, you're right, it gave me access to these people. I think that if I took the money, then they'd be like, halas, like we're not going to, this degenerate, this kafirun, like they wouldn't want. But I think that they see that I'm making an effort. And I'm far from perfect, bro. Yeah, I'm sure I'm far from perfect. I have a lot of work to do. But at least, hopefully people could see that I am trying. So, and again, I think the most important thing I learned answering your question is that whatever you give up for the sake of Allah, Allah will reward you with something greater. It's one of my favorite hadith. And I found that to be true. It was a funny thing that happened earlier today where, I'll show you. I recently, this guy was on the street and he said, for dawah, this Bosnian guy, and he just goes and hands me this. This is like 4,000 euros and just hands me this.
Wait. Who handed you that?
This Bosnian guy on the street. And he didn't even want to be on the camera. I was eating, it was on stream. I'm just eating there, chilling, having chavapia and a coffee. And he says, for dawah, hands me this. And it was funny. We're good?
4,000?
I think it's 4,000 euros, at least 3,000. He just handed me this. And it's like a good example of whatever you give up for the sake of Allah, Allah will reward you with something greater, right? On the travel to Saudi in the beginning of Ramadan, I took Egypt Air. They lost my suitcase. I had all my clothes in there. I had all this stuff in there. Luckily, no of my camera equipment, but I lost all my clothes. And I was like asking people, I had to do all these calls and I had to call this. And I'm in Medina, it's giving me this headache and I'm like losing my mind. Eventually I'm like, okay, I don't even want it. But you know how the hadith can go back to the hadith? Now I had to buy a new suitcase, and you know what I filled it up with? Thobes and gifts for my friends back home, and you know, abayas and hijabs for people, and prayer mats that I can give out to people, and dates, and all this, dates and ajwa dates, the special dates. If I had that suitcase, then I would not have been able to keep all these gifts. And so, because I would have been like, all right, I need my clothes. In that suitcase, it was all these clothes that I used. I used to wear like, you know, clubbing and going out, you know, streetwear stuff. Instead, I replaced it with things that came from the Holy Land, which we believe are blessed. So, and again, I probably lost $2,000 from that suitcase being gone, right?
Yeah, but everything happens for a reason. I mean, even this interview today, I couldn't believe that it's going to happen, but it happened somehow magically.
Can you tell the story? It's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, I would say, because basically what happened is that this morning after the Eid prayer, I woke up and I opened Twitter or X, and I was scrolling and I found Sneako's account, and your stream was then posted on X. And while I was looking at it, I was like, I'm just gonna skip to the first part of it because you started filming the Eid prayer, and I know that that's gonna last for some time. And like in the middle of the video where I stopped randomly, there was a guy who I knew from university, but I didn't have his contact number. I didn't have any of his social media, and he doesn't have social media. That's what I found out later. But I knew that I went to university with him. And
that guy I randomly saw on the street. He's friends with Amir, but yeah, I didn't even know him. You know?
Yeah, he's not like your friend or anything.
I never
but
met him.
You met him that day.
Yeah.
And what happened is that I tried looking through my old university emails, looking for people who I went with to find like an email address or at least or something. And eventually I managed to find out his contact number, and for no explainable reason, he had the number of your friend, who then made the link between us and made this interview. Happen. But that also reminds me of the story of the guy. I forgot his name, but this was last year for Hajj. I think this was happening. A man was so firm in his belief that he's going to go to Hajj, and for some reason, before the plane was about to take off, his passport or his ticket wasn't valid. And they left him by the side, and he was like, I'm going to go 100%. He was 100% certain that he's going to go to Hajj. And the plane was getting ready to leave, and the pilot started a plane, and something was wrong. The plane couldn't start. So the guy was like, the pilot was fixing I don't know, whatever you fix on an airplane, but he was fixing something. And for the second time, the plane also wouldn't start. But the guy who was supposed to go to Hajj, he was still waiting at the gate, but he was 100% certain that he's going to go to Hajj. And the third time, when the plane didn't want to start, the pilot said, I swear to God, I'm not leaving if he does not come with us. And once the guy who was waiting at the gate came into the airplane started, and they went to Mecca for the pilgrimage. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of.
I want to tell you the beginning of Ramadan. My routine for the past several years is I want to go to Sarajevo, but also I start in London to meet with my Dawah friends, people like Mohammed Ajab. Then I go to Dubai, and then I go to Saudi. I spent 3 days in London. Okay, and I woke up. Well, I didn't really wake up. I haven't slept much this Ramadan. It's 7 in the morning, and I get this random feeling. I'm sitting just like this, and I was like, I need to be in America. I don't know what it was, but I just had this feeling I need to go to America. I'm not going to go to Dubai anymore. And even then, my friend had flew in. He was staying with the same hotel. I was with my cameraman. I was with my friend, the Warner. And I'm like, let's just go. I booked the flight. The flight's leaving in 2 hours. While we're packing up the suitcase, I look at my phone. Wallet says, Israel just bombed Iran. We go to the airport. We're in the airport. I'm supposed to be in Dubai that day. I see Iran strikes military targets in Dubai. Airport's closed. The airport's hit. I was supposed to be in Dubai when it was struck. But I randomly was just like, I need to be in America. It just out of this impulse feeling.
Yeah, that just shows and tells that we don't know what's good for us. Only God knows what's good for us.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, what did your friends and family say or think once you converted to Islam?
No, they're
Reverted,
happy
sorry.
about it. They're very happy. My family, we grew up Catholic, and it's interesting because, you know, like most Catholic, let's be real, most Catholics in America, most Christians in America, they're like kind of socially, culturally Christian. You know, that's the word they use. I'm culturally Christian, which means maybe you go to Mass on Christmas, potentially. Maybe you say Christ is King in a YouTube comment, but other than that, you're not really. Then this is just the case. Like, I'm not trying to be offensive. I grew up Catholic. I went to catechism. I went to Sunday school, all this. And my family, my parents, all Catholic. For a long time, for about a decade, they were really far away from, you know, almost borderline atheists. Not completely, but just it was not part of their life. And then I became Muslim, and Muslim, my family, they were, I think, were inspired, and it started to become Catholic again. So that's good to see. There's no friction. It's all great.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. What about your audience? Has it changed since you became Muslim?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So every Ramadan, I'm thinking this thing before Eid when the days are down. I'm like, okay, time to do some haram content when I get back so I don't have only Muslim fans. You know, and then immediately I get back and I'm like, okay, let's do this stuff with a club or like meet with this girl or this. This time, especially with what's happening in the world, there is such a need for Islam, for something spiritual, for people to find God, that I am not going to compromise or try to bend. And you know what a lot of it was too, and why I love Bosnia was this racism idea, is that I don't want to have too many brown people watching my streams because, you know, brown, religion, this stuff. But people don't realize that Islam is for all humanity. It's not for Arabs. One of the last hadith, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, no Arab is superior to a non-Arab. He made sure to say this in one of his last speeches to the people of Mecca. It's for all humanity. We just say La ilaha illallah. So now I'm not going to try to appease the American values of like, okay, so that people don't feel uncomfortable. This is really the thought process. So Americans don't feel uncomfortable with my religion. I will sin now so that they will be. And isn't it crazy that they are more accustomed and comfortable with sin than they are with somebody worshiping God? Why am I going to follow this backward system? I'm going to say the truth. I'm not going to try to appease something that's false.
I mean, you've talked with many people, religious, non-religious, famous. You've talked with people who don't inspire you, who you don't agree with at all. But is there someone among them who has inspired you the most?
I've met every one of my heroes, like everybody that I looked up to at a point, like guys like Casey Neistat, this YouTuber from back in the day. You know, he still makes great videos. I got to meet him. You mentioned Ye, formerly known as Kanye West earlier, all these. I met all of them. And one thing I'll say, and not to pinpoint anybody specifically, but people will always let you down. Everyone's going to let you down. They say never meet your heroes. I say meet them so you could realize that they're human and that they're not worthy of idolizing, any of them. They're all flawed. So many of them have compromised. And you know, they're self-centered. So I would just say that the best role model is Prophet Muhammad, Rasulullah. That's it. That's the man that we should look up to and follow his example. Everybody else, they're prone to make mistakes. Even me. I mean, even you. We're going to make mistakes, and people are going to feel betrayed. Inshallah, I don't ever kiss the wall, but I can only do the best I can do.
Since we're wrapping up and I'm running out of time, you're running out of time as well. Do you have a message for our Bosnian viewers? Say something for them.
Bosnia is a beautiful country. It's a hidden gem in the world. And I would love to see more people learn about it and speak about it. Hopefully you guys keep on welcoming me as I continue to come back. And maybe, inshallah, I live here one day. And yeah, what happened, I got to learn what happened in the war in the early 90s. And it's so similar to what's happening to the people of Palestine and what's happening in Gaza. Really what I think it boils down to is the fact that Bosnia is Muslim. I mean, there's a lot of all these geopolitical factors. They say NATO and they say, you know, the Slavic region and the U.S. is funding. I really think it's just they have a hatred towards Muslims that they don't have towards other people, and they can't get over that fact. But the people of Bosnia are great people, and I want more of the world to see it. So maybe you guys can speak up about Bosnia a little bit more. Well, I don't know.
You're
we
giving
don't-
us a platform, I would say.
Huh?
You're giving us a platform, I would say, with your social media and your channels.
Inshallah, I could do the best I can, but just make the chivapia taste good. That's all I just want. And I love the coffee. And Biden Barachula, Mubarak to all the Bosnians.
Sneako, thank you for making the time today to
Was
come.
the interview dobro?
The interview was jako dobro.
Brate.
Ne, odlično. Thank you for making the time to do this interview. I know you had a tight schedule and everything, and I hope this is one of that this is the first interview, and that there are many to come once you come to visit Bosnia again, for people and maybe finding a Bosnian wife next time or something like
Inshallah.
that. Inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you
Sneako.
so much. Thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
It was a good interview. We went over a lot of things. Global news, Epstein files, Iran, America, Israel. Yeah, what can you say? But yeah, still, Bosnia is number one. What can you do?